So Natural Family Planning Awareness Week coincides with the anniversary of the release of the encyclical Humanae Vitae, where St. Paul VI instructed that all acts of conjugal love within marriage should be open to the possibility of new life, and any direct action taken before, during, or after conjugal love that would prohibit the transmission of life is inadmissible. And many people think that that means that Catholics are left with no means for planning their families for medical or serious financial reasons that would require them to space the birth of children. Natural Family Planning Awareness Week expresses that and helps raise awareness that it is possible, that there are real means for understanding the signs and symptoms of fertility, but that work within the natural law that God Himself wrote into creation, and that allow couples to make these informed decisions. It's absolutely incredible the amount of engaged couples I meet with preparing for marriage who have never heard that there is an alternative to contraception. Natural family planning is not contraception, it's not Catholic contraception, rather it's an alternative to contraception which does not by any direct action inhibit the transmission of life, but rather uses signs and symptoms, what's written into nature, and uses good information for couples to make informed decisions within their marriage. Natural family planning is about education and information. And so it's so important that Natural Family Planning Awareness Week coincides with this momentous anniversary of the release of the encyclical Humanae Vitae. Natural family planning is learning to read the signs and symptoms of fertility so couples within their married life can make informed decisions about the spacing of births for just and necessary causes. So it's learning all of those scientific signs which are very readable to those who learn how, so that couples can be provided with information about their own bodies and help them make informed decisions in their marriage. Yes, so there are very real biological signs of fertility. That's not just a guessing game, it's not just counting days, it's rather understanding very specific, readable biological signs that are possible through scientific advances. So natural family planning is a beautiful example of science and how it assists in living the life of faith, that faith and scientific study are not opposed to each other, but rather scientific study helps one live the life of faith. And by using very good technology nowadays, it's possible to know these very specific and readable signs of fertility. The reality is God is the giver of all life, and the Lord God in His great goodness shared this creative power with the human family. New humans don't exist unless already existing humans make them. God is creator, but He has given us a share in His creative power. And we, as sharers in that power, don't have the right to manipulate it, to dominate it, to change it at our will, or to reject it. God Himself has willed that all sexual love be tied in with the possibility of the procreation of new life. That sexual love between a married couple has as its goal, its philosophical end, both unity and procreation. And that these two goals, these two ends of sexual love cannot be separated one from the other. And in fact, when you attempt to separate one from the other, you lose both. And so, unfortunately, in today's rhetoric, there's this idea of we need to be protected from our spouse. We need to be protected from someone's fertility. And that When contraception is introduced into married love, it's no longer a full giving of oneself, because that very real aspect of a person, namely their fertility, is withheld. And so now sexual love, when contraception is added into the mix, is no longer a full gift of self, as all sexual love should be, because that aspect of one's fertility is removed. It's blocked from the operation. So to anyone who's afraid, whether in their married life or preparing for married life, to learn more about NFP, what I would say is that information never hurts. And natural family planning is about, again, information with regard to the cycles of fertility and understanding the readable signs of fertility. And so to anyone who's afraid of exploring a little bit more about natural family planning, I would say we should never be afraid of more information. The more information we have, the better. To those who are afraid of how actually practicing natural family planning would affect their married life, I would say that as we live in accord with the natural and divine law, we find greater freedom, and that natural family planning does not inhibit our freedom, but rather it makes us more free. We are more free when we are doing the good. And so natural family planning, rather than breaking the freedom of sexual love, makes sexual love between a husband and wife more free, because it's lived within the order that God has written into creation.